Welcome to the Black Liberation Tech podcast, brought to you by Jordan Nuance LLC and hosted by Dr. Renee Jordan. This podcast is a accumulation of Dr. Jordan's dissertation work and her passion for empowering Latinas, Afro-Latinas, Black women, and girls to navigate the academic and professional worlds with confidence and success. Whether you're a mother or guardian guiding a child through grades 6 through 12, an undergrad or grad student, someone working on a dissertation or thesis, or simply looking to carve out your niche in the career landscape, this podcast is for you. Each episode, Dr. Jordan shares her story, offers invaluable advice, and provides practical coaching to help you thrive in school, work, and beyond. Join our community on patreon.com/Black Liberation Tech and become a member for as low as $5 per month. As a member, you'll gain exclusive access to live recordings, impromptu academic and career coaching, and a network of like-minded individuals committed to mutual support and success. You're also welcome to follow Black Liberation Tech on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn, or Black Lib Tech on X, formerly known as Twitter. Visit black-liberation.tech for even more information on Dr. Jordan's adventure in Inglés o Español. Tune in, get inspired, and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to Black Liberation Tech, where your success story begins. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black Liberation Tech podcast. I am your host, Dr. Renee Jordan, and today's topic is you can learn a lot from a sixth grader. I'm going to go ahead and start by reading a blog post from December 2nd, 2017, and it's entitled, You Can Learn a Lot from a Sixth Grader. On yesterday, I had the distinct privilege of presenting You Can Learn a Lot from a Sixth Grader field notes from the pilot of an after-school STEM program at the 2017 Georgia Tech STEM Education Research Expo, which was hosted by the Georgia Tech chapter of the American Society for Engineering Education, GTASE. The presentation was about the top 10 lessons I learned from middle school students about their interests while working with them in our research program last year. One of my professors, Dr. Lauren Modulo, told our doctoral research seminar class about the expo, and so I figured I would submit a proposal to see what would happen. I learned a valuable lesson from a professor at Bowie State University, Dr. Paul Hester. Let them tell you no. Don't count yourself out by not applying. Although he was talking about jobs, I do believe that this advice is applicable in many cases. So when I received the news that I was accepted, I was very excited. When I told Dr. Margelo of my acceptance, she said that she was going to come, and she did. It is always good to have friendly faces in the audience. I also had a classmate, Carrie Waller, in the crowd. We just worked together to present on multimodal data analysis on Monday, and here it was Friday, and we were presenting again. Her presentation that morning was at the Association of Fraternity and Sorority Advisors annual meeting in downtown Atlanta, where participants engaged in conversations about social class and class indicators within their fraternity/sorority community, starting with their own story. In addition to presenting a poster, the GTASEE also selected me to give a short 8-minute talk on my work. I was the last one on the program, but first to arrive. We needed to set up at 2:30 p.m., but I got there super early, 12:30 p.m. I wanted to make sure that I found parking and had time to calm down from being excited and nervous. You can only be so excited after waiting for a long time. During that time, I jotted down notes on my presentation printout and text friends. I enjoyed the presenters and made a couple of suggestions that I hope will help as they move forward in their work. One of my recommendations was to a presenter who was grappling with how to capture in a few words the reason one of her participants felt the need as a Black man to get a PhD in chemistry. His reason for pursuing a PhD reminded me of the concept of double consciousness as discussed by W.E.B. Du Bois in The Soul of Black Folks. I wrote down double Consciousness and W.E.B. Du Bois on the back of my card and slipped it to her. I asked, "Have you read?" She responded, "No, I have not," and thanked me for the suggestion. It's funny how things happen sometimes. The presenter just before me could not get the PDF to show in presentation mode on the one computer all of the other presenters were using, so he switched it out to his laptop and closed the other one. When he shut the laptop, I thought to myself, oh no. Do you know what happens when you close a laptop versus what happens when it goes to a screensaver versus what happens when it goes into hibernation mode? My presentation was on the closed laptop. I was ready for anything when it was my turn, and anything did happen. When he opened the laptop, it said 29%. It was installing updates. After seeing that screen, I held my printouts in my hand, introduced myself, said that I taught high school biology for 7 years, and so, in the words of Ray Charles, we are going to make it do what it do, and started my presentation. After spending so much time on this work, I had something to say, knew what I wanted to say, and did the best I could under the circumstances. A few moments after I started sharing about our program, the two people working on the laptop got my presentation up successfully. Once again, it's funny how things happen. I tried to help the previous presenter with his PDF, and he ended up being one of the people to help me. So I allowed my presentation to run with the time transitions while I continued to talk. I received positive feedback and a good suggestion for a web-based tool created by Georgia Tech, EarSketch, based on an area that I felt was in need of further research, finding the STEM in music. This resource suggestion was icing on the cake. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of participating in conferences, meetings, expos, etc. You are walking amongst the living, breathing libraries of information that can pinpoint what you need better than Google. Sorry, by engaging in discourse with others, they can help you find holes, make recommendations based on your needs, and suggest resources that may not have been amongst the curriculum of your years and years of schooling. Talking to people is important. They are priceless. Each time I write or present, it is practice for the next time. As a result, I am grateful for having the opportunity to practice with others in practice. Please note that my poster was bigger and had more colors this time, as suggested by Dr. Sino and Stephanie, a longtime friend from Hood College. I told you that I learned by listening. So that was my blog post on You Can Learn a Lot from a Sixth Grader. And so based upon that, I want to encourage you once again to submit and apply to as many opportunities as possible. When you are submitting and applying to different places, you need to make sure that you address the call for proposals. In the call for proposals, the conference chairs or the conference board or the conference committee decide what they want the topic or the focus to be for that conference. And it's up to you to see, first of all, do you align with what the conference goals are? And do you have work that you can cater to those goals and align yourself with those goals? So when I submitted to the Georgia Tech conference, the focus was STEM education research. And since I was working as a graduate research assistant in an after-school program, Amaze, it was STEM focused, and consequently, I was able to fit in with what they're doing. Now, I could have been really intimidated because it was for engineers, and I'm like, I'm instructional technology. I'm not quite an engineer, but what the students were doing in our after-school program falls under software engineering, and that they were developing mobile applications. So not only did I fit in because the students were working on technology, they were actually doing some engineering of their own. So in my proposal, I had to make sure that I addressed the goals and the focus of the conference. And as I mentioned in the post, the advice from Dr. Paul Hester at Bowie State University rung in my ears. Just submit and see what happens. Let them tell you no. It doesn't hurt to apply. It doesn't hurt to try. What hurts is when you graduate and you don't have experience behind your belt. So use conferences, use expos, use student-led conferences as opportunities to get experience presenting your work to your peers. And your peers are going to be those who are in that field or in in that discipline, and the walls really break down because when you're presenting, although you might be a student, you're presenting also along people who have their full degree, those who have graduated. So although I presented, there were people who already had their PhDs who were also presenting. Now, as a student, I know you can get a lot of emails, but keep your eyes peeled on your email. A lot of opportunities come in writing. Everyone is not going to verbally tell you about an opportunity. Now, because I was in a class that was geared towards doctoral students, it was our research seminar class. It was geared towards doctoral students doing the work that comes along with being in a doctoral program. So the things that you have to do outside of your classwork, your coursework, being actively engaged in conferences, being actively engaged in reviewing journal articles, being actively engaged by being a reviewer for conferences were some of the topics that are addressed in that course. Other things that are addressed in that course include reviewing your CV/resume, applying for jobs, and getting through your doctoral program by making sure that you have all of your residency credits. So whether that's time as a graduate research assistant, whether that's time as a teaching assistant, whether that's making sure that you've completed your required internships, all of the extra stuff that you need to do so that when you graduate, you are offering more than just book knowledge. You're being able to offer experience as a part of your doctoral studies. Once again, it's good to see friendly faces in the crowd. So when you go to a conference, make sure you browse through the other speakers to see if there's anybody else that's from your class that is attending and presenting, whether those people are students or teachers, because you never know, they might come in and support you as well, or at least you're paying it forward by going to their presentation and being a friendly face in the audience. And hopefully you will have friendly faces in the audience when you present. It can be a little nerve-wracking when you're doing the best you can and it feels like there's crickets in the audience. So it's helpful to have people in your crowd who are there to support you, even if it's just with a smile, a warm, friendly smile. When you go to conferences, make sure you get there early. Check out the technology that they have available. See if you need to use an adapter to make a connection, or make sure you read all the emails from the conference to find out if you indeed have to send your presentation ahead of time. Sometimes they might even use a shareable document that everyone dumps their presentations on, such as Google Slides. Maybe they even have them dumped into a box folder or a Google Drive folder or a Dropbox folder so that they can be pulled by the conference committee and available to you once you enter the room. Go back to the last blog post or even this one as proof that technology can go wrong when you least expect it, or the parameters could be a little off and you might need a little help in order to get it just right. So please make sure when you get to a conference early, check out the technology. Make sure you bring your adapters with you. You want to make sure that you are able to connect with the technology at the conference. And you may even need to bring your own. So you might need to bring your own laptop, your own cords, your own adapters, but they should at least have the projector so that you can project your presentation. Now, one of the tricks that I learned by going to conferences, I found out that one of the conferences did require Google Docs, but what someone did on their slide in the Google Doc, they simply dropped a link to their Canva presentation and they were able to present their beautiful Canva presentation by clicking on a link. So there are workarounds in case you prefer to use other platforms, but be prepared to use the platform that they are requiring. Be prepared to have a PDF version of your presentation just in case the PowerPoint doesn't work. The PowerPoint is a different update from your original one and the transitions aren't working, or your internet goes down. Perhaps you might need to pull up that hard PDF copy or PowerPoint copy from your computer directly in order to present. If you're tech savvy and you're in a room and things aren't going well for the person who's presenting, presenting, feel free to ask if you can lend a hand in order to assist them. Sometimes it's a matter of hitting different function keys on PCs in order to get the screen to do right. Or another issue that I've seen is when someone goes to present and the presenter screen comes up. And so if you know how to quickly click so that it is not showing the person's notes on the screen while they present, that might come in handy. And it would also be good for you to know how to switch back and forth between those screens as well for yourself in case you are not quite familiar with it. Another technical challenge that you might want to think about is what happens or what do I do if the computer decides to do an update in the middle or before my presentation? It happens. Now, when you have a laptop or you're using someone else's laptop, sometimes you can hit ignore, update later, remind me later. But after a while, the computer will decide that you're just not going to respond the way it wants to. So it will do the updates on you whether or not you really want it to at that moment. So keep in mind that this is a possibility. And if you're working from your laptop, make sure you do those updates before you go to the conference so your laptop doesn't surprise you when you get there and you want to present. Now, if you run into technical difficulties, another tip that I want to give you is to make sure that you have a printed out copy for yourself. That way you can still share your information, whether or not things work out with your technology equipment. You are there to share, and the most important information is actually going to come from you. Now, perhaps you can let others know that you will share the presentation with them electronically after the session, and you might want to send that to them as a PDF. Sometimes either the mobile application or the website that the conference uses has places and spaces for presenters to share their presentations. And it's helpful if you're able to say, I've already uploaded the presentation to the mobile app or to the website, and you can retrieve it from there at your convenience. That way you don't have to send a whole bunch of emails after you present, but the people who attend your session will be able to access your presentation when they get ready. So in conclusion, I want to once again emphasize the importance of participating in conferences in whatever form they may come in. Make sure that when you're submitting your proposal, that you're reading the call for proposals and that you are addressing what the focus is for the conference in your proposal to help increase your chances of being accepted. Make sure that you're also engaging in academic and professional events of any form. So it doesn't always have to be a national conference. It doesn't always have to be a conference that's given at a state or regional level. If it's something that's happening at your school, that's important too, because the people who are present are valuable and priceless and can give you feedback that comes from someone other than yourself. Also, sometimes it takes a long time to get feedback from your professors or instructors. So if you attend conferences, make sure you let your advisor know that you're submitting and that you're going to the conference. But also, when you get the feedback, take it into consideration when you are getting ready to either write up your final paper that you want to submit to a journal, or make sure you take their feedback and think about it so that you have that in mind the next time you run your program or the next time you are analyzing data. I am very grateful that I was able to attend that student-led conference at Georgia Tech, and I was grateful to get the tech from Georgia Tech participants in the form of ear sketch to explore further in my future. I'm also grateful for the practice that I was able to obtain as a result of my participation and the growth that I experienced in my presentation skills, as well as analysis skills as a result of engaging in that presentation. Also, as a result of participating in the poster session, I was also able to prove to myself that I could make a poster that is the right size. So this one was much larger than the last time. It was about 3 by 5 feet. So I had plenty of room in terms of being able to spread out the information that I wanted to share. There was someone who actually, I don't speed read, but he read all the way through my poster presentation and was able to ask questions based upon what he read. And that was pretty cool because sometimes people just come up and ask you to tell them about your poster poster and then they asked questions. But I thought it was cool that he was able to speed read through my poster and ask me questions based upon what I had present. And he even pointed out that I forgot to put the logo for our after school program on the poster. So that was another lesson learned. And from that point on, I made sure that I had the logo of our after school program on my work so that when people saw it, they would say, oh, okay, that's the name of the after school program. Another tip for posters and whenever you're presenting, if you have funding for your work, you want to make sure that you recognize the source of that funding on the poster as well as in the presentation. So on your title page of your presentation and somewhere on the poster. So our after school program was funded by NSF. So I needed to make sure, in addition to naming the program, I needed to include the NSF logo as well as the award number so that they could read about the program and the awarded proposal if they wanted to dig deeper. Thank you for tuning in to the BlackLiberation.Tech podcast, brought to you by Jordan Nuance LLC and hosted by Dr. Renee Jordan. We hope today's episode has inspired you and provided valuable insights to help you navigate your academic and professional journey with confidence and success. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, as well as rate and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. Whether you're guiding a child through grades 6 through 12, tackling undergraduate or graduate studies, working on a dissertation or thesis, or exploring your career options, this podcast is here to support you every step of the way. Join our community on patreon.com/BlackLiberationTech and become a member for as low as $5 per month. As a member, you'll enjoy exclusive access to live recordings, impromptu academic and career coaching, and a network of like-minded individuals committed to mutual support and success. Don't forget to follow Black Liberation Tech on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn, or Black Lib Tech on X, formerly known as Twitter. Visit black-liberation.tech for even more information on Dr. Jordan's adventures, available in both English and Spanish. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep moving forward. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.